said there's so many times she wants to go. Well, if you weren't here, I wouldn't have to be. You need to go shopping on Thanksgiving. And I think people are trying to get the jump on Black Friday. There's no way. I'm going shopping on Black Friday.
Me too, and that would never happen. I wouldn't ever.
I try to buy stuff throughout the year. So I was telling Dan, she's telling the kids Santa's sending boxes to the house. So they get good. So, yeah, have the kids eat your home. What?
I'm coming.
We got 4 cats and a dog.
So we're on for 9 o'clock Sunday, right?
Yes.
Here.
And Ray said, don't even make the general. It's on the temple calendar. They want to come with me.
Right.
I'm not the guy in charge.
Hey, it's close.
This call.
He said he's that close to getting the newsletter out.
I will not come.
I know.
Yeah.
Oh, you can't be my wife. Co-president.
Really. You can't sing the blues if you have to take it.
Dave doesn't like it.
Something like that.
No.
I just want to make sure we're still on for 9 o'clock. I'll be home for football game. Looks like Baltimore's going to have a rookie quarterback.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because they're up against injury.
Christmas cup? Should be interesting.
The guy they beat the first game of the season.
That was confusing. That was an event.
Yeah.
16 on it, right?
Whatever happened.
Everybody preferred the regular
In New Mexico,
Yeah, Lulu has 2 reasons.
he said it's been embellished for years, but there was
Slobody.
he said, for the Christians, they did the
rabbis. Yeah, the rabbis made it. Yeah, they didn't want it to be a celebration of the
So he said the kids told the story. The kids went out because it was a very family.
שבת אחים גם יחד, הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד, הנה מה טוב, שבת אחים גם יחד, הנה מה טוב, שבת אחים גם יחד, הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד, הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. As you can tell, I'm not Rabbi Turlincham. We begin our service tonight the same way we always do. Or my name's Johnny, for those who don't know me. I think most everyone does. We begin our services tonight the way we normally do, taking a moment of silent reflection for all that has happened this week. We consider the highs, the lows, what we'd like to carry with us into Shabbat, and what we'd like to leave behind. Now, if there's something positive that has happened in your life recently that you'd like to share with us and lift our spirits for Shabbat, we'd love to hear it.
I managed to marry off my youngest. So.
You're married off your youngest! Mazel tov! Anything else positive? Positive. John Melander?
Yeah, I spent a week in Puerto Rico with the Jewish group Nakama.
Nakama.
Disaster relief work. So we rebuilt 3 houses.
Oh, that's awesome. Building 3 houses. Anyone else?
Miriam, did they all get down there safe?
Yeah, last I heard, the only words about it that I've heard from Miriam are that it's intense and powerful, but everyone's safe. So, yeah.
Hallelujah, that's positive.
Yeah, definitely positive.
Yes.
Did I?
We had another wonderful function last weekend. We went to New Memphis at one of the kids' company. It was good.
The Lunch and Lab? How do you say that?
Loveland?
Loveland.
We went to the Loveland Stage Theater and saw Memphis.
The London Stage Theater and saw in Memphis. Awesome. Anyone else?
Yeah,
Janet?
I guess we had a lot of listening groups. Our listening group was very well attended. Those of us in the east side, out in, the hinterlands. And so we had a lot of good discussion.
That's awesome. We had a lot of good listening groups over the past.
And the other good
couple
news
weeks.
is, and I'll just tell everybody because I keep repeating the story, I fell on my left side and broke 2 fingers. But the good news is I didn't fall on my right side.
There you go. You can still do some
I'm
things.
right-handed, so.
Perfect.
that's good news, so. Anyway, so then I don't have to keep telling the story.
Is there anyone that has never been here before that'd like to introduce yourselves? You don't have to. We can get you later. I know I see faces that I don't recognize, but we'll say hi over there.
I'm Sam. I'm Kelly. I'm Grace.
I'm Brian.
I'm Abby.
Sam, Kelly, Grace, Brian, Abby. I think I got it all. Cool. Nice to meet y'all. We'll have food over kitchen stuff, and we can meet you then. Next, we're going to be, where are my papers? The great question. There it is. Next, we're going to be doing our Shabbat candle lighting, and I welcome up Steph Harmony, who also lit them last week, but that was practice, and she's going to do them real great today.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvonav v'tzivanu l'halik nir shel Shabbat. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of the universe, who hallows us with our mitzvot, commanding us to kindle the light of Shabbat. O source of light and truth, creator of the eternal law of goodness, help us to find knowledge by which to live. Lead us to take the words we shall speak into our hearts and our lives. Bless all who enter the sanctuary in need, all who bring the offerings of their hearts. May our worship lead us to acts of kindness, peace, and love.
Hear my prayer, I sing to you. Be gracious to the ones I love, and bless them with goodness and mercy and peace. Oh, hear my prayer to you. Let us light these lights and see the way to you, and let us say Amen. Let us light these lights and see the way to you, and let us say Amen. We'll turn to page 10 for Yedid Nefesh, which is the 3rd song to open up Kabbalat Shabbat. Yeshua And next we'll turn to page 20 to welcome in the Sabbath bride. We will be doing verses 1, 2, 5, and 9. And on the 9th verse, we'll rise and face the back of the sanctuary to welcome in Shabbat.
Shamoy v'zachor b'dibor echad, Hishmi'anu el hamiuchad, Adonai echad u'shemo echad, U'shemu tiferet v'hitiba. Lecha dodi likrat kala, v'nei Shabbat nekavela. Dodi likrat kala, v'nei Shabbat nekabela. Sheikrat Shabbat lechu v'necha, ki hi mekor ha'bracha, v'rosh mikedem nesucha, sof ma'aseh b'makshava tchiva. Lecha dodi likrat kala, v'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, v'nei Shabbat nekabela. Hitoreri, hitoreri, ki vayemi ori, uri, uri, jidaberi, kavod Adonai v'ikla. Lecha dodi likrat kala, v'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, v'nei Shabbat nekabela. Oyi v'shalom ateret ba'ala, gam besimcha u'b'tzola, toch emunei am segula, bo'icha la. Lecha dodi likrat kala, v'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, v'nei Shabbat nekabela.
Everyone can turn around, say hi to each other, greet each other, real quick.
Let them always find someone.
You may be seated, and we'll be turning to page 26 for the Chatzi. Wait, is that right?
Yes.
The right page? Right page? Yes, Chatzi Kaddish, page 26.
Yitgadal v'yitgadash shemei Rabba.
Amen.
Madivra hirutei v'yamlik malhutei.
Israel, V'agalav zman kariv, v'yimaru, Amen.
Yehi shmei Rabba mevorach, ve'olamo me'omaya, Yitborach. Yitborach v'yishtabach, v'yidar v'yidroman v'yidnaseh, v'yidhadar v'yidhaleh, v'yidhalal shemei l'kudisha.
Richu.
Lam yicho b'chata v'shirata.
Tushbechata v'nechemata, damiran be'alma, himeru, Amen.
please rise for the Baruch on page 28. We read together on the top of page 31. Praise to you, Adonai our God, from whom the evening flows. Your wisdom sets the way on which time and season glide. Your breath guides the sail of the stars. Creator of the tide of time and light, you guide the current of day into night. As heaven spans to infinity, you set its course for eternity. Praise to you, Adonai our God, from whom the evening flows. Baruch atah Adonai, hamariv aravim. And on the top of page 33, as you taught Torah to those whose names I bear, teach me Torah too. Its mystery beckons, yet I struggle with its truth. You meant Torah for me. Did you mean the struggle for me too? Don't let me struggle alone. Help me understand, to be wise, to listen, to know. Lead me into the mystery. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohel Amo Yisrael. We turn to page 34 for the Shema.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. 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 Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Vaed. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Vaed. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad.
You may be seated. We turn to page 36 for the Ve'afta. Ve'afta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol avecha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol me'odecha ve'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher nochi mitztavecha hayom alevavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam b'shivdecha b'vetecha uvletecha v'derech ukshokbecha uvkumecha ukshartam leot yadecha v'hayu letotefot b'neinecha uktavtam al mezuzot beitecha uvisharecha למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לרוחכם אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים אני אדוני אלוהיכם אדוני אלוהים אמת. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot. That wherever we go is eternally Egypt. That there is a better place, a promised land. That the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness. That there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands, marching together. We turn to Michamocha on page 40.
Adonai
page 42 for Hashkivenu. We turn to page 44 and celebrating the passing down of our tradition with Vishamru.
Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et HaShabbat Lazot et HaShabbat leDorotam berit olam Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et HaShabbat Lazot et HaShabbat leDorotam berit olam Eti uvein b'nei Yisrael Oti leolam, oti leolam, Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et HaShabbat, Asot et HaShabbat leDorotam berit olam. U'sheshet yamim asa Adonai, et HaShamayim ve'et Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et HaShabbat Lazot et HaShabbat leDorotam berit olam Vayom hashvi Shabbat vayinafash Shabbat vayinafash Shabbat vayinafash Vishamru b'nei Yisrael Shabbat, Lasot et HaShabbat, leDorotam berit olam.
We all rise for tefillah on page 46.
Adonai,
I'll be seated for a moment of silent reflection. As we sing our prayer for peace, we think about the many pathways towards peace and how much healing in body, mind, and spirit is necessary for peace to occur in our lives. We pray for those who are on hospital beds, nursing facilities, and are in their own homes. We pray for those struggling with addiction, deep grief, and difficult decisions ahead of them. We also pray for those who bring healing into this world: doctors, nurses, therapists, caregivers, family, and friends. If you would like to mention someone's name or your own name out loud who is in need of healing in body, mind, and spirit, please share those names now.
Charles Smith.
Reuben, Paul Colback, Sandy Colback, Meredith Claff, Sharon Slessman.
Mark Saban, Sue Ginsburg. Sue Apple.
Jean Fine, Bobby Applebell. Geraldine Ugelson, Myrna Kaplan, Marcy Vine, Sylvia Williams, Derek Thomas, Barb Litvack, Jan Kravitz. Charlene Helen Baker.
Arnold Applebaum, Joyce Applebaum, Leo Applebaum, Roberta Applebaum, Judy Abner, Mira Barner, Marcy Bain, Shayla Boniface, Tricia Farver, Elaine Frankowski, Jerry Goodwin, Dr. Merrill Goldman, Ethan Kaddish, Keita Knutson, Skylar Kuntz, Yael Kraus, Leigh Krinick, Elaine Hatefield, Mel Hudson, Tony Ionidis, Ira Lerner, Judy Levy, Lou Levy, Michael Ben Abraham Vazara, Joan Lieb, Marcy Maxwell, Rhoda Meyer, Nancy Newmark, Phil Ryan, David Rose, Betty Roth, Bob Rubin, Aaron Reuter, Karen Schwartz, Iris Schaum, Mahalia Stoneman, Lou Strauss, Susan Werschauer, Ann White, Haroldine Ukelson, Fran Victor, Chaim Ben Yaakov and Nechama, Bishop Chuck Smith, Cassie Singh, and Janet Kravitz. Join us as we sing Mesha Berach on page 253 in the middle.
Mesha Berach,
we now take a moment for silent prayer. That can be from the prayer book or from your own words. Time for me to preach, which is something, doing a sermon, never done that before, so that's cool. So you don't get it at all. Yell at Miriam, not me. Just kidding. So growing up as like this really nerdy, just rushing into it, I guess. Growing up as this really nerdy gay boy in South Texas with Christian parents, like you probably wouldn't think of me as being like that popular of a kid. I hated being outside. I still hate being outside. I'm an artist. I like couldn't tell you anything about most like ball-related sports. The most sporty thing that I did was like I fenced in high school, like with swords, which like it sounds really cool, but it's like probably like one of the gayest sports imaginable. I'm just saying. Like most, and it was weird because like everyone in my like all the kids in my neighborhood who were like my age were all like these huge like jocks, like super masculine, grew beards when they were like 13. It's like I can barely do now. Well, yeah. So I was a complete mama's boy, and my parents are both Christian, which is fun. I convert, cool. We got that base covered. My mom was Southern Baptist from Georgia. So if you're wondering how growing up like that was, exciting, I know, great. But I was a complete mama's boy, and like she eventually was able to shove me into going to church, specifically with like youth groups. I actually like really liked it, which is probably why I'm still going to like religious things as an adult, or as like a young adult, I guess, like post-college age. But like I really enjoyed it, except for whenever it came to the topic of my sexuality. Dirk turn. Feel free to leave if this subject matter could potentially be upsetting to you. I won't be offended. Because every time the topic of my sexuality was brought up, it was thought of as this hidden sin, and because of that, I would go through these cycles of coming out and then coming back in, especially like as I would go to different schools or different churches and stuff like that. It was just like this like reoccurring cycle of like going out, coming back into the closet, going out, coming back into the closet, very much living in two lives, trying to be something that I wasn't. In college, I joined a Pentecostal college ministry. College wasn't that long ago for me, so like weird change. But like it was more of the speaking in tongues rather than the like playing with snakes. Christians do that. Like it's a thing. I was super involved. I skipped classes because of how involved I was in it, just because I was like, I could go hang out with my friends. And I was like always at some kind of Bible study or playing Ultimate Frisbee, which we did a lot. As much as I loved it, I was trying to be someone that I wasn't. I was dating girls. I was trying to force myself to like hiking, repeating the point about not liking being outside. Hiking and fishing. I like the idea of fishing, but I like fish. Sushi's great. But like, I could just go to Mark's Bagels and get some salmon and lox and then be good. So that wasn't the worst part of all of it, though. The hardest part of being in this group was the theologies of eternal hell. And like in Judaism, like the ideas that we have with hell are kind of like, you have some people who have like solid ideas, but for the most part, there's no like eternal hell. And so I was in this group, and I fully believed in those ideas. The theologies that told that me, as a gay man, that I was going to spend eternity in hell. And I like fully bought into it, and I wanted to emulate these like manly guys who like all looked like lumberjacks. They all had beards, and like that went to like down here. Like if you put them in a black suit, they would look like they're in Chabad. I thought that acting like them could get rid of my gayness and get rid of the like effeminate traits that I have. Eventually I realized that like despite my love and dedication to this group, I would never be valued in this like that environment. Even in other churches that were more like, they're kind of lenient, but they weren't outright like celebratory of LGBTQ people. I eventually told that I was going to spend eternity in hell, and I left and I dropped out of college. I lost most of my friends, which was a lot of people at that time, and I was just too depressed to do anything. I think that the Torah is the most powerful when we can see ourselves in it. Jacob, he was hairless. He was called a tent dweller, and he was his mom's favorite. And in some ways, despite my hairiness, I see a lot of myself in Jacob. He was surrounded by macho men like his furry brother Esau and his dad, who preferred Esau's hunting skills to Jacob's domestic skills. He even used his cooking ability to secure his brother's birthright. He had to dress up in Esau drag in his clothes to get his father's blessing. Like his father was like, "You smell and feel like Esau," but he commented on how his voice was off, probably because it was too effeminate. And with all of this trickery, he still had to go get his mom's help to figure all of it out. Jacob is a classic example of what in like LGBT academia call queer-coded. I know some people are probably uncomfortable with the word queer, but LGBT and like women's studies academics kind of like involve using it. Often in literature and like any kind of media, villains are often portrayed as gender-bending tricksters, feminine men, butch women, drag queens, and like ambiguous people who like don't look like they belong to either gender. And it's often used. It's used as a way to like show people that this person's bad, but it's typically done at the detriment of LGBTQ people. Where was I? Page. So that's what queer coding is, and it often reinforces the idea that LGBT people. I wrote that. Like Jareth, the Goblin King from Labyrinth, who goes after a 15-year-old girl. Ursula from The Little Mermaid is based off of a drag queen. What'd you think about that? Most Disney villains are like queer coded. They're all like really effeminate or like masculine in different ways. And you can look at any of them and they probably are like based off of a gay person. Or like Scar is very effeminate. I'd say Jafar the crab from Moana, totally gay. I don't know if you've seen that. Frozen being like kind of a weird one because like the villain, one of the villains or one of the antagonists is technically one of the main characters, and like there's kind of like queer coding there. It gets confusing, but older Disney villains are all like pretty gay. You also get like Buffalo Bill from Silence of the Lambs, which is a really grotesque example of this being used. So this parsha begins with Jacob falling asleep and having his ladder encounter. Jacob's ladder, popular image. I feel like most people have heard of at some point or another, where he sees a ladder and there's angels going up and down. And during this transformative experience, he realizes that he doesn't need to become Esau. He doesn't need to be someone that he's not to find his place in the world. He understands that he was made in the image of God, and he moves towards accepting his authentic self, eventually changing his whole identity with the name Israel, which I know a lot of people can relate to, having to change their whole name to match their identity with who they are. And after his wrestle with the angel, that Rashi states this, which is kind of weird, because I think most people kind of interpret it as being like God, like the angel that's way later on in the story. I think it's in the next parsha. But it was the angel of Esau that he was wrestling with, the angel of his brother that he was trying to shadow for all this time. And he was constantly under the shadow. And after doing that, he kind of completes his arc of not trying to be like his brother. In Torah Queries, there's the word queer again, a LGBTQ commentary on the Torah, Yoel Kahn says that the secret of Jacob's biography and the closeted message of the Torah is disclosed in the name of the portion, Vayetze, not Vayetza, as it says on this. The portion begins, Vayetze Yaakov, customarily rendered as Jacob left, or Jacob departed. But the root of the Hebrew verb is the same as in motzi, the blessing for bread, and Yetziat Mitzrayim, the exodus from Egypt. The true meaning of this phrase, as the narrative bears out, is Vayetze Yaakov, and Jacob came out of the closet, in case you don't get it yet. Some might say that Jacob came out alone, and others with the help of the divine. When I was 20, I was lucky enough to have the support of two of my closest friends who, at the time, I had started going to shul with. They were helping me realize how to be gay and not just behind closed doors, actually live my life authentically. And seeing them fulfill leadership roles at their synagogue, and parents in the synagogue wishing that their kids would grow up to be like them, and them holding leadership positions, something that I was not used to. I'd never seen that before in my entire life. Going to a Reform synagogue, I never went to a Reform synagogue. I said screw it and just posted Happy New Year's, I'm gay on New Year's. Just that was my coming out. Just Happy New Year's, and I had left my phone at work or at home that day, and I went to work, and I came home, and it was just full of text messages from my mom of how angry she was. But through their modeling, my friends, and this accepting community, I learned that there are ways to authentically live your life and being out and honest with yourself. And there are places that accept that. I found that place in tons of Jewish spaces, homes, and synagogues. Since then, I've learned that the Bible isn't always the harsh weapon others and myself have used against LGBTQ people. It isn't without its flaws, sure, but it's imperative we recognize the queer biblical characters like Jacob, and that we recognize the long line of queer commentators, rabbis, Jewish teachers, and students who are working their hardest to reconcile our identities with their faith. So on this Shabbat, let us recognize that Judaism is not an old and dead religion. It is not static. It is something that moves forward, and all of us have a part in making our Jewish community, our Shabbat tables, and our whole world accepting and welcoming to all people. Shabbat Shalom. I lost the paper with the order of service on it. There it is. I have lots of papers up here. I would like to welcome Leo Yakudis for announcements for the Bima honor. You have a cool.
It's okay, John. You can breathe in.
Can I? Am I allowed to?
There's not much to make people more nervous than being up here for the first time as you were doing that. So I think phenomenal job.
I just had to speak about something.
Okay. Okay, more phenomenal job.
So hello, I'm Leo, representing the board this evening. I'm going to start off with thank yous because it kind of leads into the announcements this time. And then we'll do the prayer for community. But for the thank yous, of course, we have Dr. Mark, we have Johnny, we have the members of the choir. I didn't want to miss any of those. Stefina for doing the candle lighting, John for being for usher, streaming in the back, hiding in the back is Micah. Thank you for doing that. To our online community for joining us, to everyone here for joining us. And in terms of stepping out of your comfort zone or doing something new, and also leading into the announcements, thank you to Rabbi Turlenchamp and to everyone who went on the pilgrimage to Texas, and to El Paso, and the people who are still there, and the people who joined her from our community and from Cincinnati. I think this was a very powerful statement, and if anything could be said to be outside of your comfort zone, that would be it. And I'm sure we're going to hear more about that as time goes on. Your pinch hitting was phenomenal, but she's not out of a job, so we're good. Congratulations to Sue on the marriage of her son, Adam Samuels, to Morgan Merrill. There's a number of events that, I don't want to be up here too long, but a number of great events. There's a Just Love event coming up. There's a Hanukkah dinner in your program here. There's Gaze and Guilt. There's the Valley Interfaith Holiday Sharing Program, which is another way to give. So I don't try to read more than 3 or 4 of the announcements, so there's many, many more. A prayer for our community. May Adonai, the source of life, who blessed our ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah, bless this entire congregation of Temple Shalom, together with the community, with the synagogues in Cincinnati and all holy congregations in this world. Bless our community, our children, our families, and all the desires, along with those who unite and establish synagogues for prayer and those who enter them to pray, those who devote countless hours of their lives so that our synagogue may be a thriving place of spiritual welcoming. May the Holy One reward those who contribute to our community with healing, forgiveness, and personal strength. May God bless them by prospering all their worthy endeavors, as well as those of the entire people, Israel. And let us say, Amen.
Leah, can we pray for your wife? Can we say a prayer for your wife who's in Israel and been going through all that stuff over there?
Well, Edie is safe.
Edie is safe.
She is
Thank
safe.
God.
But if you've been following the news, there were a number of rocket attacks and raids by the IDF, and there's a ceasefire now, and it is a very tense time in Israel. But she is safe, and the classes continue, and they don't stop for anything like this. So, thank you.
You're welcome.
Yes.
I have an announcement. I made this announcement a couple weeks ago, but if you want to join the Martin Luther King Choir, you can still do it. The paper's out there on the table. What do you call it? Rehearsals will be resuming on Tuesday and going till Martin Luther King Day, which is in mid-January. So flyers are on the outside if you'd like to join. You can still do it.
For anyone who didn't hear, we had flyers for the Martin Luther King Choir outside on the table. And if you have questions, ask Janet Kravitz. Thank you, Leo. Where are you? There you are. Thank you for giving those great announcements and community prayer. We turn to page 282 for Elenu. 282. Which one do we do? This one?
Aleinu leshabeach ladon hakol, latet gedula yotzeh breshit, shelo asanu kegoye haratzot, velo samanu kimishbechot hadama, shelo sam kalchenu kahem, וגואלנו בכל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך
חוצותי שמיים ויוסד הארץ, ומשה תקרוב בשמיים ממעל, ושכינתו זו בגובה מרומים. הוא אלוהינו אין עוד, אמת מלכנו אפס זולתו, ככתוב בתורתו, וידעת היום להשליט אל לבביך. כי אדוני הוא האלוהים בשמיים ממעל, ועל הארץ מתחת אין עוד. נאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד. We turn to page 289 at the top. In nature's ebb and flow, God's eternal law abides. When tears dim, our vision or grief clouds our understanding. We often lose sight of God's eternal plan. Yet we know that growth and decay, life and death, all reveal a divine purpose. God, who is our support in the struggles of life, is also our hope in death. We have set God before us and shall not despair. In God's hands are the souls of all the living and the spirits of all flesh. Under God's protection we abide, and by God's love we are comforted. O life of our life, soul of our soul, cause your light to shine into our hearts and fill our spirits with abiding trust in you. Where is... There we go. We mourn the recent passing of Eileen Levy, Svetlana Sheikhet, Iris Riggs, Sandy Melzer, Louis Levy, y'all may be seated, Tatiana Slobodnik, Judy Lass, and Charlotte Levy. And we mourn the Yartsites, the anniversaries of passing of Nate Fairman, Sydney Isaacson, Annette Rosenthal, Leon Goldhoff, Frank Cohen, Abe Barth, Stuart Fine, Annette Walter, Judah Freyer, Helen M. Nemeth, John Strauss, Max Shapira, Harris Belford, Esther Harmony, William Ellison, Robert A. Thomas, Florence Horwitz, Lou Ukelson, and Jack Bain. If anyone else has any names they'd like to add or corrections, please do so now. If you are mourning or commemorating Shiva, please rise first. We see you, we honor your loved ones. We see their lives and your lives intertwined in blessing. We now rise as a whole community of support as we continue with the Mourner's Kaddish, our prayer of affirmation. Yitgadal v'yikadash shmei rabbah, be'oma divrach yirutei v'yamlich machutei, b'chayechon uvyomechon uv'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael, ba'agala u'izman kariv v'miru amen. Yehi shmei rabbah mevarach le'al mulmei l'maya. Yitbarak v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitrumam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yithalel v'yithalal shmei dekudesha brichu. Leila min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, damiran be'oma v'imru amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chaim aleinu v'achol Yisrael, v'imru amen. Oseh shalom v'rumav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu v'achol Yisrael, v'imru amen. Zikronam livracha, may their memories be for a blessing. Oseh shalom v'romav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amen. Ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael. Yisrael. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Do we have a... One day I'll have this in order. We turn to page 336 for La Yehudim. Oh, you can sit down. I don't have that in my notes. Shabbat Shalom. Fuel in Shul tonight is at Slats, which I believe is a high school pub. I've never been there before. I don't know what it is. Good food, I'm sure. Is there anything? The benediction? Hebrew blessing. There we go, yeah. Shalom, shalom, Yivesem lecha shalom, shalom, V'yesem lecha shalom, 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 V'yesem lecha shalom, shalom, V'yesem lecha shalom. Shabbat Shalom, good Shabbos. I think we're all good. So we'll go Kiddush stuff. If you're gay, come to our big gay Hanukkah party called Gays and Gelts. I'm involved with it. It's on the 6th. Come. It's on Thursday night at the at Myrtle's Punch House. Good work. I tried. Thanks for sharing the story. Thanks. I appreciate it.